So I've started a fresh D&D campaign, and I thought it would be fun to do a weekly installment of the group's antics, kind of as they go. It's a 2 on, 2 off weekly schedule, and they meet on Thursdays. I don't have anything aside from session notes currently, but I might be looking at getting a microphone to record the sessions so that I can include snippets and different moments from the game. If you like that idea, let me know. But yeah, I love running the game. I love world design, and I sat down with these 4 awesome people, and we got some characters built and ran our session 0/first session with a little bit of role play. So yeah, let's start. The setting is the town of Pontano. It's a swamp town. It rests on the southern edge of a place called the Lonely Island. It's a big island that sits in the middle of the ocean between 2 continents. And Pontano, again, is on the southern edge. It's swampy. It kind of recedes down towards the coast. The more north you go, the higher the elevation gets, as it kind of heads towards a port town that's off to the north. And just kind of threw all that together last minute. I'm going to be sitting down a bit later to work on town details. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the characters. The first character we have is Pickles. That's his nickname. He is a male human, and I always talk with my players about having goals for their characters. It's really important that they're not just designing someone who wants to be a baker or the best, I don't know, butcher, of pigs in town. They have to have goals and a little bit of a backstory. I didn't want like 20 pages, we were a god and then we fell kind of thing, but I told them just a little bit. So Pickles is a human, and he decided that his goal was to hunt down the man who killed his family. His family died in a brutal attack a few years ago or so. We haven't really established a time frame for that yet, but he was the only survivor, and all he has left from that attack is this black book that he found at his destroyed home and a mostly burned picture of his brother, whose name is Richard. The next character, Mycelia, is a female fae, and she is a fungal fae. So she's got this cute mushroom aesthetic, and her initial goal is to find her lost siblings. I was talking with the player, and her species propagates using these special mushrooms. They're ancient mushrooms, and I don't know if this is how mushrooms work in the real world, but these particular mushrooms haven't been hybridized at all. And it's very important to her race that these mushrooms stay pure and stay perfect, all as purely natural. And because that's where her siblings come from. All of her family has grown from these mushrooms. Thalia, our next character, is a female Azamar, and I do my lore a bit differently than 5th edition does. I have all of the planes set up, but quite a few of the planes set up, but I've reflavored them and renamed them, and I have my own ideas for them. And basically, the different races were put on different planes when they were created to kind of rule over and take responsibility over that plane. And so, Azamar in my setting, they're not like fallen celestials, but they are a bit celestial by their nature, but it's just different. It's a little different. And she is playing a cleric, which was a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, Pickles is playing a bard, and Mycelia is playing a druid. Athalia is a cleric, and she picked a light cleric, and she's looking for light. Her goal is to find light and find love again. She got abandoned by her fiance, and it scarred her badly. And now she's intent on getting out and looking and rekindling that lost hope. Then we have Jeff, who is our Warforged Artificer. And I like how Eberron has their Warforged were created for war, so I've kind of stuck with that. However, different setting, different flavor. He's looking for his creator, whom he knows is a very small person, a gnome. But gnomes haven't been seen for a very long time, and no one knows what a gnome looks like anymore, or even what they are. If they did see one, they wouldn't recognize them. But it's funny because Jeff, who's this ancient robot, confuses little people, kids, halflings, for gnomes. So he's always running up to them asking, are you my father? Almost, Vader to Luke style, are you my father? And if you can see the hilarity in that, congratulations. You are a million steps ahead of Jeff, the Warforged, or at least his player, because he had no idea what he was walking into there. And we are not going to let him play that one off either. That is too funny. But so we get all of their characters set up. That's all of their bit of backstories and their goals driving forward. And so I go ahead and we open up the session. It's a nice, fair day in the town of Pontano. And how is everyone starting off their day? Pickles wakes up outside of his burned home on the edge of town, and he's just I'm kind of getting an edgy feel from Pickles. The player wants to play a seductive bard. We'll see how that goes. But he wakes up outside of his burned home, and that little black book he has, it whispers to him, actually, and it tells him, oh, the person is close. They're here. And so he immediately starts rushing off to investigate. He searches like his surroundings, the house, the swamp near where he lives, and eventually he just decides to head into town to see if anyone saw someone out of the ordinary. They live in kind of a small town. People know people, and so people coming in, are well recognized. They stand out. Mycelia gets up and she's having a nice peaceful breakfast morning, having some fungal tea. I I don't know, some herbal tea, and just having a nice, relaxing meal with her family. When all of a sudden her aunt throws the door open and is like, "Oh my gosh, they're gone! They're gone!" And it's notable because they keep these mushrooms in a locked room. That's how important they are. And only certain people can go in there because the threat of cross pollination is just too severe. So only certain people can go into that room and it remains locked. And no one should have been able to get in there. So Mycelia immediately begins trying to look around, look for signs of magic, and she can't find or detect anything. But these mushrooms, no one knows about them, and they're rather rare and unique. So she decides to head into town, head into the market to see if anyone's tried to peddle these rare mushrooms. Uh, Jeff, the Warforged, he just kind of lives in a shack down on the street, and he, you know, uh, you know, basically reboots in the morning, and this kid has been watching him sleep. I guess I need a better word for that. I'll figure one out. This kid has been watching him sleep, and so he reboots and he sees this kid, and he immediately is like, "Oh my gosh, are you my father?" And the kid freaks out and is like, "No, you're weird. I'm going home." Runs off, and this robot gets up, and he has kind of a perpetual limp, from his time in battle, and so he starts limping off down the street. Meanwhile, Athalia, the Azamar cleric, she's up in her loft. The town of Pontano has these big swamp cypress trees that go up probably about 40, 50, 60 feet, depending on the tree. And because they're on an island, these trees have been hollowed out and converted into lofts. Think like New York style, just not nearly as big. And she's up there on her loft on this balcony looking out and just, getting ready to have a nice normal day. And she kind of finishes up her morning routine and heads downstairs. Meanwhile, so she gets downstairs. She'd seen Jeff from her balcony, and she sees this kid running off. So she heads down there, and Jeff sees her. And Jeff suddenly gets this message that, "Oh, your father is here. Your creator is here." And so he starts scanning about and uh, able to determine kind of where this maker might be. And so he and Athalia just kind of on her own merit, going about her day, they both head to the market. And Pickles, Mycelia, Athalia, and Geoff, they all kind of converge right there at the market. And they're standing there. I have everyone make perception checks. And behind the screen, I roll 2 stealth checks, actually. And the most significant one succeeds, but the other one fails. And so they notice this first guy, and it's a male Azamar by the name of Rowan. And they see him walking down the street. And Rowan's notable because he is actually Athalia's fiance. He abandoned her just flat out up and left a few years ago. Haven't worked out the timeline on that. I'll get there. But he just flat out up and abandoned her a few years ago. And this guy used to be pretty important to the town. It didn't hold like a position of power or anything, but he was fairly strong. And if, something from the swamp came in and attacked, he was usually on the front lines to help fight it off and keep Pontano safe. So they see Rowan, who's been gone for years at this point, and everyone's just stunned. Athalia's character is just staring at me in shock. It was great. And they notice walking next to Rowan, this large, towering male Aasimar, is this really short robed figure, probably around 2 feet tall. And they can't make out any features because his back is their back is to him, and they're wearing this cloak that covers all of their you know extremities and everything. And they're all standing there stunned. And before they get a chance to react, this cloaked figure, they they say something to Rowan. He looks down to listen, and he gives this short reply that they can't make out. And the cloaked figure raises up a hand, and they see this ring glimmer. And then Rowan and the cloaked figure are gone. And that's where we leave the session. So we play again this coming Thursday. So that'll be our second. I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm going to go ahead and sit down and flesh out Pontano. And then they have a port town to the north, Ribarstvo. I'm going to flesh that out because they're most likely going to be wanting to look for clues on who this person is, why Rowan was in town. And I'm just really excited to see what they decide to do. I usually, when I sit down to do session notes, I just write out some very general, basic things for the town, names of establishments, people, other stuff like that. And then I'll design a few encounters that they might run into. I've actually got a pretty decent system for random encounter generation. I'll have to show you guys sometime. It's one of the favorite things, my most favorite things that I've developed, because it's a lot of fun. It's perfectly random, and it covers a plethora of things. But that is where we left off that session. I'll be back after Thursday. Hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know in the comments. Thanks. Bye.